My name is Taylor, and I never thought I'd be sharing something like this. But after what happened to me, I can't stay silent. I was just an ordinary teenager, school, friends, and my phone were my whole world. Faith wasn't something I thought about much. It was just something my mom talked about, or something we did on Sundays. But on the day I died, everything changed. What I saw, what I felt, was real. And terrifying. I was only gone for a few minutes, but in that time, Jesus showed me things that shook me to my core. This is my story. If you're reading this, please listen. Time is running out. It started as a normal day. Nothing out of the ordinary. My mom called me for breakfast like always, and I groaned, hiding under the blankets a little longer. I scrolled through my phone before dragging myself out of bed. Just another Monday. I got dressed, grabbed my backpack, and headed out the door. The morning was cold, but I barely noticed. My mind was full of texts, weekend plans, and school drama. If you'd asked me, God wouldn't have even crossed my mind. I wasn't against faith, I just didn't care about it. Church was something I endured for my mom's sake. That's it. Walking to school, I had no idea I was just hours away from crossing a line most people never return from. Lunch was loud, crowded, the usual chaos. My best friend cracked a joke and we laughed until we couldn't breathe. It was a good moment. One I barely remember now. Because after lunch, everything changed. I was at my locker when a friend called my name, waving me over to walk outside. I slammed my locker shut and jogged to catch up. We were halfway across the parking lot when I heard it, screeching tires. I turned just in time to see a massive truck heading straight for me. My friend screamed. There was no time to run. No time to react. Then, impact. A force like nothing I've ever felt. I was lifted off my feet, pain shooting through my body. Everything spun, blurred, then, silence. Time felt frozen. The sky, the people, everything around me stood still. But something felt off. I wasn't cold. I wasn't even touching the ground. I looked down and saw my own body lying there, twisted. Lifeless. My friend was screaming. People rushed over. But I wasn't with them. I was floating above, watching it all unfold like a movie. Then I felt it. Something pulling me. Strong, unrelenting. Dragging me away from everything I knew. That's when I realized, I was dead. One moment I was laughing. The next, gone. No warning. No goodbye. I remember the crunch of metal, the screaming, the tires. It should have lasted forever. But it was over in a heartbeat. Then, nothing. No pain. No breath. Just stillness. I opened my eyes, expecting pavement, but I wasn't there. I saw my body on the ground. Arms twisted. Blood pooling beneath my head. My friend shaking me, sobbing. I tried to reach her. Tried to speak. But my hands passed right through her like smoke. The pull grew stronger. I was being taken somewhere. I fought it, but there was no resisting. At first, I thought I was going to heaven. That's what's supposed to happen, right? Bright light, peace. But there was no light. Only darkness. And it got colder the further I went. Like sinking into ink or tar. Whispers echoed around me. No faces, just voices. And they weren't kind. Then, another voice. Deep. Powerful. Stop. Everything froze. The pulling, the darkness, it all stopped. And then came the light. Not just any light. It was alive. It burned through the darkness. And standing in it, Jesus. I knew it was him before he said anything. His presence filled everything. Power, love, sorrow, it overwhelmed me. He didn't speak at first. Just looked at me. And I felt everything I had ever done exposed. Then he said, "Taylor, do you know why you are here?" I tried to answer, but no words came out. He lifted his hand, and suddenly, I saw my life. All of it. Every choice. Every sin. Every ignored chance to change. It played like a movie, but I didn't just watch it. I felt it. Every emotion. Every consequence. Jesus wasn't punishing me. He was showing me the truth. And then, the visions changed. I saw a world burning. People screaming. Darkness swallowing everything. And people walking toward it, willingly. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. Then he said the words I'll never forget, "This is what is coming." The light faded. And I was plunged into darkness. Not ordinary darkness. This was thick, suffocating, alive. I was cold, but not like a winter cold. This was a soul-deep chill. It wrapped around me and wouldn't let go. Shapes moved in the shadows. Whispering things I couldn't understand, but I knew they were evil. Then a voice spoke. "You don't belong here yet." It was twisted. Mocking. There was no up or down. No direction. Just floating in an endless abyss. Then, I was falling. Deeper and deeper. The whispers became screams. Agony. Despair. Figures clawed at me. Twisted things reaching out. The stench, burning flesh, decay. It was unbearable. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. No voice. No escape. I knew where I was. This was hell. The screams never stopped. Faces twisted in rage, in sorrow. I recognized some of them. From school. From my life. Their eyes locked onto mine. Pleading. But I couldn't help them. Then I heard it. A voice I knew. "Taylor, help me." It was a friend. And I was too late. Someone I had laughed with, hung out with, joked around with, someone who never took faith seriously, just like me, looked at me. I saw his face, and in his eyes, I saw something I'll never forget. Regret. A pain so deep and overwhelming it swallowed every other emotion. I reached out instinctively, but something grabbed my wrist. "You cannot help them now," a voice said. Jesus had pulled me out, and suddenly, I wasn't in the darkness anymore, I was standing back in the light. But I wasn't relieved. My body shook, my breath came in ragged gasps. "Why?" I choked out. Jesus looked at me, his eyes filled with sorrow, and said, "Because they chose this." I wanted to argue, to say no one would choose that kind of suffering. But deep down, I knew what he meant. People reject him. They live like none of it matters. And when their time comes, it's too late. The weight of what I had just seen crushed me. Then Jesus said something even more terrifying, "This is only the beginning." Even though he had pulled me out of the pit, I still felt something lurking in the darkness. I wasn't safe. I could feel eyes on me, watching, waiting. It wasn't just one presence. It was many. Dozens. Hundreds. Thousands. They hid in the shadows, just beyond the light Jesus had surrounded me with. I turned my head slowly, and that's when I saw them. Figures, dark and twisted, with hollow eyes that burned with a sick red glow. They weren't human. They were something else. Something ancient. Something evil. Demons. Their bodies flickered like smoke, shifting and distorting. But their eyes never left me. They stood in a vast circle, surrounding the light, unable to step inside. But I knew what they were waiting for. They wanted me back. I could hear their voices. Some laughed, some whispered, some mocked, "Not yet. But soon. You think he'll keep you forever? You're ours, Taylor. You were always ours." I wanted to cover my ears, but the voices weren't coming from the outside. They were inside my head, filling it with doubt, fear, and hopelessness. I looked to Jesus, desperate for answers, but his face was unreadable. "Do not listen to them," he said, his voice firm and steady. "But why are they here? Why do they know me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Jesus looked at me, sadness in his eyes. "Because every time you chose sin, they gained power over you. Every time you ignored me, they grew closer." I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't. I had ignored him. I had lived like none of this mattered. And now I was seeing the truth. The demons grinned, they knew that I knew. But Jesus wasn't done yet. He raised his hand, and the demons shrieked, recoiling. Some vanished. Others still watched. Still waited. "You must understand, Taylor," Jesus said. "The battle is not just for your body. It is for your soul." Then everything changed. The darkness faded, and suddenly, I was standing before something massive. It stretched endlessly in both directions, tall, golden, radiating pure light. The gates of heaven. The moment I saw them, I felt something I couldn't describe. A pull, like my very soul was being drawn toward them. It wasn't just a place. It was home. But then I saw the other side. A shadow across the horizon, opposite the gates. It was deeper than darkness, stretching like a void. And from inside it, I heard the wails of countless souls. The contrast was unbearable. Light and warmth on one side. Cold and suffering on the other. I turned back to Jesus, but he was already walking forward. I followed as we approached the gates. Then I saw something terrifying. Some people were being pulled away. A force, invisible but unstoppable, dragged them into the shadows. They screamed, begged, pleaded. But the gates didn't open. They clawed at the ground, the air, anything to hold on. I stepped back, shaking. "Why?" I asked. Jesus looked at me, sorrow in his eyes. "They never truly knew me." "I can't believe this," I whispered. "But they're calling your name. They're praying." Jesus nodded. "Many use my name. But few truly follow me. Their hearts were far from me." The gates stood firm. Those who belonged walked through with peace. Those who didn't were taken. And I couldn't do anything but watch. I turned to Jesus. The look in his eyes pierced through me. I had known about him my whole life. But I had never known him. Now he stood before me, more real than anything I had ever experienced. His eyes, they didn't just look at me, they looked through me. Past my words. Past my excuses. Straight into the deepest parts of who I was. And for the first time, I understood what it meant to be fully known. I couldn't hide. Every lie. Every sin. Every moment I ignored him. He saw it all. And yet, his eyes were filled with love. Not anger. Not hatred. Not disappointment. Love, overwhelming, unconditional, all-consuming love. I couldn't handle it. I dropped to my knees. Jesus stepped closer, his voice gentle, but filled with authority. "Taylor, do you know why I brought you here?" I shook my head. I don't know." He reached out, and suddenly, I saw flashes. Images. Memories. Times when I had ignored his voice. Chosen my own way. Hurt others. Turned my back on him. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. "Because I love you," Jesus said, "and I do not want you to be lost." Tears streamed down my face. "But I don't deserve this. I've failed so many times." Jesus smiled. "You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to follow." And in that moment, I understood. It wasn't about earning my place. It was about choosing him. Then Jesus took a step back. Suddenly, the ground beneath us shifted. The sky darkened. The air grew heavy. And then I saw it. The future. The earth split open. Fires raged. Storms tore through cities. People ran, screamed, cried out for help, but no one was listening. No one was coming. Destruction spread like a wave. In the chaos, I saw them again, demonic beings. Twisted figures whispering lies. Leading people further into the abyss. I turned to Jesus, my hands shaking. What is this? His voice was heavy. What is to come, if they do not turn back? Terror gripped my heart. But people don't know. They don't understand. Jesus nodded. That is why I am sending you back. I didn't want to go. Not after what I had seen. But then Jesus said something that sent chills down my spine. Tell them. Warn them. Because soon, the door will close. As he spoke, the vision changed again. I wasn't looking at fire and destruction anymore. I was looking at people. Ordinary people. Living their lives like nothing was wrong. They laughed. Ate. Worked. Scrolled on their phones. Everything seemed normal. But then I saw what Jesus saw. Sin wasn't just around them, it was inside them. I saw people gossiping, their words turning into dark smoke, wrapping around their targets and suffocating them. I saw greed, men hoarding money, their hands dripping with thick black filth as they ignored the poor. I saw lust, pulling people into invisible chains. I saw lies, slithering like snakes, binding those who believed them. And worst of all, no one seemed to care. They laughed. They lived. They ignored the warnings. Then Jesus raised his hand. What I saw next made my heart stop. People were marked. Some had light, pure and strong. But others had darkness on their foreheads. An invisible seal I could see. I wanted to scream. To warn them. But they wouldn't have believed me. Even if I tried. The worst part? Some of them went to church every Sunday. They sang. They prayed. They listened to sermons. But their faith was just routine. A checklist. Their hearts were far from Jesus. Tears filled my eyes. Jesus, what happens to them? His voice was firm. Unless they turn to me with their whole hearts, they will not enter my kingdom. I broke inside. I had always thought believing in God was enough, but now I understood, it's not just about knowing his name, it's about truly knowing him. Suddenly, the vision faded and I saw something new. A massive book floated before me, glowing with heavenly fire. I knew what it was before Jesus even spoke, the book of life. The book that contains the names of those who belong to God, the ones who are saved. I held my breath as Jesus opened it. Pages turned, covered in glowing names. Some names I recognized, family members, people from my church. But then I saw blank spaces, empty spots where names should have been. These were people who thought they were saved, who went to church, who believed in Jesus, but never truly surrendered. My hands shook. Jesus, why? I asked. His voice was heavy, they never gave me their hearts. They called my name, but they never followed me. Then I saw something even worse, names fading. People who had once been faithful, but turned away. Their names blurred, dissolving into nothing. I couldn't breathe. Can they be saved? I asked desperately. Jesus turned to me, eyes filled with sorrow. As long as they have breath, they have a chance. But soon, the time will end. I felt sick. How many people think they're saved but aren't? How many are on the edge of eternity and don't even know it? Then Jesus showed me something worse. We were no longer alone, a figure stood before us, shining brighter than the sun. His presence radiated authority, an angel. His voice echoed, shaking the ground, the time is near. Judgment is coming. Many will be lost. My heart pounded. I wanted to plead for more time, but the angel continued. They mock the warnings. They laugh at the truth. They choose darkness over light. When the door closes, they will beg for mercy, but it will be too late. I dropped to my knees. Is there anything we can do? I whispered. The angel looked at Jesus. Jesus nodded. Tell them, the angel said. Tell them to turn back before the door closes forever. A deep sadness filled my chest. I had seen what was coming. I had heard the warnings. And I knew most people wouldn't listen. They'd laugh. Say we have time. Say God is love and would never send anyone to hell. They'd keep living like nothing was wrong, until it was too late. Jesus spoke again, his voice soft but full of power. Tell them, Taylor. Tell them what you have seen. And I knew at that moment why I had been sent back. Before I could say another word, everything shifted. The light dimmed, and a strange force pulled me backward. Wait! I cried out. I don't want to leave. But it was too late. I felt my body again, the weight of it, the pain, the burning in my chest. I gasped, air rushing into my lungs like I'd been drowning. Voices screamed around me, he's back. We have a pulse. I opened my eyes. Blurry vision, bright lights, medical equipment, people hovering over me. I had returned, but I was not the same. The memories were burned into me, the faces, the screams, the book of life, the angel's warning. I tried to sit up, but a nurse gently pushed me back. Taylor, stay still. You were gone for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, that's all it took to see eternity. I looked around, desperate to tell them what happened, but no one would understand. They'd think it was a hallucination. But I knew the truth. I had been given a second chance, not for me, but for them. For everyone who needed to hear before it was too late. So, as soon as I could speak, I began to tell my story. Because Jesus is real. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And time is running out. The days after I came back were the hardest. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes of what I had witnessed. The screaming souls. The book of life. Jesus' eyes filled with sorrow. The weight of it all crushed me. I tried to act normal around my family, but I wasn't the same. How could I be? Before, I cared about meaningless things, social media, what people thought, entertainment. Now none of it mattered. Not after seeing what's coming. My parents thought I was traumatized. My friends joked I'd been touched by heaven. They laughed it off. No one understood. I tried explaining, but their eyes glazed over, they weren't ready to hear it. That's when I realized the real battle wasn't just what I saw beyond.